Walk into any store any day and the shelves are full. They are always full. You have never once seen the system that fills them, and you have never had to. That invisibility is the most dangerous thing about it. Here is a fact that should unsettle you. That full shelf is not proof of abundance. It is proof of timing. The store behind it holds almost nothing in reserve. What you see is very nearly all there is. The rest is not in a warehouse. It is on a truck or a ship, still moving toward you. This is the quiet miracle the modern world runs on. It is called just in time, and it means exactly what it says. Goods arrive just as they are needed, not before. Nothing sits in storage. Storage costs money, so we got rid of it almost everywhere on purpose. For decades, this was celebrated as genius. Why warehouse a year of inventory when a ship can bring it exactly when you need it? Factories stopped stockpiling parts. Stores stopped stockpiling goods. Hospitals stopped stockpiling supplies. The whole economy went lean, and lean was efficient, and efficient was king. But lean has another name, and no one liked to say it. Fragile. A system with no slack, no buffer, no reserve, works beautifully right up until one link hesitates. Then there is nothing to fall back on. The efficiency and the fragility are the same thing, seen from two sides. To see how it breaks, you have to see how it moves. 90% of world trade travels by sea, 50,000 ships, 20 million steel containers endlessly circling the planet. Those containers are not really shipping boxes. They are the warehouse, a warehouse that never stops moving. The skill of the whole system is a container going from point A to point B and getting back to point as fast as possible to be filled again. Speed is everything. The faster the boxes move, the fewer you need. So the system was tuned over decades to run with almost no spare containers at all, which means the entire global supply chain is a set of spinning plates. It works only as long as everything keeps moving at once. And history has already shown us more than once exactly what happens when one plate stops. Think back to the ship in the canal. In 2021, a single container vessel, the Ever Given, turned sideways and wedged itself across the Suez Canal. One ship, one waterway, and roughly 12% of all global trade simply stopped, backing up 150 ships in a single day. It was freed in 6 days. 6 days. And the ripples took months to settle because the system had no slack to absorb them. That was the warning shot. One stuck ship in one canal for less than a week and the whole planet felt it. Remember how little it took. Now imagine the disruption is not one ship and not 6 days. Imagine something larger. A war closing a key strait. A pandemic shutting the factories of an entire nation. A cyber attack freezing the ports. The specific trigger does not matter. What matters is that the movement stops. Week 1. At first, almost nothing seems wrong. The shelves are still full because the goods already in motion still arrive. The system coasts on its momentum like a car with the engine cut. For a few days, you would not know anything had happened at all. This is the cruel calm of it. The damage is already done out at sea in the silent ports, but it has not reached you yet. The pipeline is still emptying itself onto the shelves. And because everything looks normal, no one panics. Not yet. That comes later and all at once. Week 2. The pipeline runs dry. The goods that were already moving have arrived and sold, and behind them is nothing because behind them was always nothing. That was the design. And now the gaps appear. Not everywhere at once. First in the things that move fastest. A product goes out of stock. Then another. At first it is an annoyance, a shrug, a substitute. But the human response to a bare shelf is ancient and immediate. If the shelf might be empty tomorrow, you buy extra today. And so does everyone else. This is the moment a shortage becomes a panic. Buying that would have been spread over a month happens in an afternoon. The demand the system was precisely tuned for suddenly doubles, triples, overnight. And a system with no reserve cannot absorb a surge. It can only empty faster. We saw a rehearsal of this, and it was over something absurdly simple. Toilet paper. Not scarce, not hard to make, sitting in ample supply. But the fear of the empty shelf became the cause of the empty shelf. The panic created the shortage it feared. That is the system's deepest flaw laid bare. Week 3. The shortages spread from the shelves into the factories, because just-in-time did not only strip the stores, it stripped production too. A car plant holds only hours of parts, not months. When one small component stops arriving, the whole line stops. And here is what makes it vicious. A single missing part can idle an entire factory. A $10 chip that does not arrive can halt the assembly of a $50,000 car. Across industries, plants go quiet, not for lack of everything, but for lack of one thing. The chain is only as strong as its most delayed link. Now the second wave begins. The workers at those idled factories are sent home. The trucking companies with nothing to carry cut their drivers. The dominoes that started at sea are now falling through the economy, each stopped business stopping the next. A shortage of goods becomes a shortage of work. Month 2. The container problem compounds the whole thing. Remember, the system runs on almost no spare containers. Now they are all in the wrong places, piled up empty where they were unloaded, absent where they are needed. The warehouse that never stops moving has stopped, tangled in its own knots. The price of moving anything explodes. In real disruptions, the cost of shipping a single container has spiked several 100% in months. That cost flows into the price of everything, because everything at some point sat in one of those boxes. The shortage is now also an inflation, and the pain is not shared evenly. Wealthy nations feel it as higher prices and emptier shelves, but nations that import their food and medicine feel it as genuine scarcity of the essentials, cut off from a system they never controlled. The same broken chain lands as inconvenience in one place and crisis in another. Month 3. The reordering begins. Everyone, everywhere reaches the same realization at once. Just-in-time is too fragile. We need reserves again. We need to make things closer to home. The great lean machine of globalization goes into reverse, slowly, expensively, and years too late, because that is the trap the whole world walked into together. Every single decision to cut inventory was rational. Storage really is expensive. Lean really is efficient. But the sum of a billion rational cuts was a global system with no cushion anywhere, poised to fall like dominoes at the first hard shove. And notice who saw it coming. The people inside the system knew. They had a phrase for the alternative, not just in time, but just in case. Keep a buffer, hold a reserve. But just in case costs money every single day, and the disaster it prevents comes only rarely. So the buffer lost every quarter to the balance sheet. That is the deepest pattern here, the one under every episode like this. Safety is a cost you pay constantly for a disaster you might never see. Efficiency is a reward you collect every day until the day it kills you. And human institutions, quarter by quarter, almost always choose the reward. The average person, through all of it, never sees the ships or the ports or the tangled containers. They see a favorite product gone, a price doubled, a factory in their town going quiet. They will blame the store, the company, the government. Not one of them will picture the empty box waiting on the wrong dock. So consider what actually holds up your daily life. Not a vast reserve, not a warehouse of plenty. A thin, fast, perfectly timed river of goods, flowing from the other side of the world with almost nothing held back. It works flawlessly every day until the day it does not. The shelves are full right now as you listen. That fullness is real, but it is not depth, it is flow. And a river that looks mighty while it runs can vanish astonishingly fast once the source upstream goes still. Somewhere on the ocean right now, a container ship the length of 4 football fields is crossing toward a port, stacked with the ordinary things of your life, running exactly on time. The entire system depends on it, and thousands like it, never once stopping all at the same moment. They are still moving. The plates are still spinning. The shelves are still full. And the whole arrangement rests on a bet we have all silently agreed to make, that nothing large will ever stop the river for very long. The next worst case is already in motion. Be here when we walk through it.